15 years before these events, two young children are stranded on a deserted island in the South Pacific after a shipwreck. A boy and a girl grow up together, paradise-like, completely alone. As they become adults, they fall in love with each other, and soon a son is born to them. By fate, they leave the island, going to the open sea. After a while, the boat drifting in the sea is noticed by a passing ship, but by this time the child's parents were no longer there. The boy is taken for upbringing Sarah Hargrave, who, at that time, remained a widow with a young daughter, Lily. Soon there is a cholera epidemic on the ship, and people begin to die one by one. The captain of the ship realizes that no port will accept them with such a disease, and decides to put the woman and her two children in a boat and send them on a free voyage, so that they have a chance to escape cholera. Along with them goes Mr. Corney to help them reach the shore. However, the man is more concerned about himself, realizing that they can swim indefinitely. They need to survive. It would be better to hasten the kid's deliverance. After he refuses to give water to the children as an economy and offers to throw them overboard, Mrs. Hargrave, seizing the opportune moment, kills him and dumps him into the sea. Sometime later, the boat nails to an island. The boy begins to say home and call for mommy and daddy. Afterwards, Sarah realizes that this is the same place where Richard was born. His parents sailed away from this place in search of salvation. The abundance of fruit, fish, and beautiful living conditions allow for rain and carefree child rearing on the deserted island. The only danger on the island was its northern part, where every full moon the savages sailed to perform a bloody ritual of sacrifice. Years pass, the children grow up, and Sarah raises them as civilized people, hoping that one day a ship will come and take them to San Francisco. The children have questions about the differences between male and female bodies, about marriage, and Sarah tells them about the body changes that await them as they grow up, about where babies come from, and why marriage is necessary for change. One day the children go fishing on a boat, but at one point the boat unhooks and floats away, leaving the children on the rocks in the company of a shark in the same lagoon. After setting the trap until dark, Richard figures out how to distract the shark by catching a fish, and together with Liliana they swim to the boat, almost getting caught by the teeth of the bloodthirsty predator. A storm comes over the island, and a downpour pierces the roof of the cabin. Sarah waits and fixes the roof, but catches a bad cold and realizes that a simple cold has turned to pneumonia, which will lead to her imminent death. Sarah explains to the already strong and independent children that they will have to go on living without her, and shows them where and how she will need to be buried. Richard and Lily grow into teenagers. They continue the traditions their mother taught them and celebrate Easter in the form of a game by hiding colorful eggs around the island. Richard adds conditions to this fun by saying that whoever finds the most eggs gets a prize. At the end of the game, Lily thinks she has won, though Richard gives her an egg, hiding one of the eggs he found. Lily asks for her prize, and Richard retrieves a pearl from the seafloor. The girl is very happy to receive such a gift and makes a hair ornament out of it. The boy and the girl behave like typical teenagers. Richard competes with a shark and brags to the girl about his victories with a dangerous predator. Lily looks at herself in the mirror, studying the changes in her body, and the guy at the same time peeks at her. After a while, their relationship changes and is no longer the same as it was when they were children. Richard begins to miss those times. The teenagers feel attracted to each other without realizing what it means themselves. The girl becomes a woman and shares this with the boy. There are changes happening in Richard's body as well. There is nothing amusing about watching the girl laugh at the boy, perplexed as to what is going on. A little later, Richard's youthful maximalism gathers momentum, and he has an argument with Lilia. He decides to go to the northern part of the island, even though it was forbidden by the rules established back in the forbidden place by their mother. He finds skeletons and skulls of people. By this time, a tribe of savages arrives on the island to perform another ritual. Richard hides not far from the natives and covers himself with mud to be less visible. At the end, he lunges with his spear at the last remaining savage, but doesn't kill him, and they part ways, smiling at each other. The boy returns to the frightened and worried Lily and tells her all he has seen while he washes off the mud in the sea. And Lily talks about her worries and asks him to never fight again. They begin kissing in the sunset light, and Richard talks about how he wants them to become husband and wife, exchanging vows and homemade rings, enjoying each other now as husband and wife. One day Lily notices a white sailboat and Richard rushes to light a signal fire, but frightened, they stop and start watching the approaching dinghy. Seeing a woman in the boat in the company of men, they go out to meet them. Captain Jacob Hiller and his crew were, to say the least, very surprised to find civilized people on a desert island. The captain tells them that it is a godforsaken place that seafarers always bypass because of its unfortunate location. This time, however, they could not pass by as they ran out of water and had to dock at the island. The men of the ship devour the half-naked young Lily with their eyes, and the captain introduces his daughter Sylvia to them, who immediately falls for Richard. Lily and Richard invite the captain and his crew to dinner, where they talk about how they came to the island and their way of life on it. One of the experienced sailors, Quinlan, notices a piece of jewelry with a valuable pearl in Lily's hair. A little later, as gifts, Lily and Richard strike clothes, and Sylvia shares with the girl items for feminine grooming. The captain's daughter tries in every way to attract Richard's attention, and in the evening she offers to entertain and dance. But when she sees the great Richard dancing, she calls it a child's round dance and begins learning to dance with Richard. Sylvia hurts Lily's feelings, and she runs away in the middle of the lesson. Before going to bed, Richard tells Lily that he is attracted to Sylvia. He is so interested in her because he can't see her without her clothes on. I'm curious to see what she looks like under her clothes. In the morning, Lily decides to put on Sylvia's makeup to regain Richard's interest, but she gets battle paint, so Richard sends her to wash up. Meanwhile, he goes to teach Sylvia how to fish. While fishing, the captain's daughter tries to seduce the boy, but she fails. Richard tells the captain's daughter that he doesn't want to hurt Lily. Meanwhile, Quinlan trips the girl, grabs Lily, and tells her to tell him where the pearl is. After getting what he wants, Quinlan doesn't stop and decides to take advantage of her beautiful young body. Lily starts screaming and begs to be let go. Richard, who has escaped from the fishing trip, returns just in time, but the young man's strength is inferior to that of the former sailor. Richard manages to snatch the guns from him. However, the sailor notices that the young man does not understand how to fire it. During the struggle, he pulls out the gun and wounds Richard in the arm with the rifle. The members of Captain Hiller's crew, who have come to the rescue, break up the fight, but an enraged Quinlan tells them to let him go. He wants to kill the kid. Richard runs away, and Queen launches after him, firing his rifle at him, but he never hits. Richard lures the sailor instead of the shark habitat, and exactly as he did before with the fish he caught, where a little later the predator massacres the sailor. The boy returns to Lily, and Richard tells her that at sunset there will be a sailing of the ship of Captain A. Hiller. Yes, the girl says she wants to stay. She tells Richard that she is carrying a baby inside her. The guy doesn't believe her and asks how she knows that, to which Lily replies that women always feel it. Lilac says that she doesn't want the baby to be born out there in the mundane world. She wants to raise the baby here where there is no deceit, temptation, lies, and rifles. Richard fully supports his beloved Lily, and together they watch the departing ship while remaining on the island. In the final moments of the movie, we see a beautiful baby boy being born, Lily and Richard returning to their familiar lifestyle on the island. You were on the channel on Recap Roman. Don't forget to subscribe and put a like to not miss new videos.